All right, all right, all right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dakota Burford coming at you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I want to simply start by welcoming each and every one of you to video number 4, module number 4 of week number 1 in the Sell Ops program. Today's video is going to be titled The Art of Elicitation. And before we jump into this video, I don't care what you've got to do, but give me your undivided attention. Close out of any other distractions that you have open on your PC. Go ahead and place your phones on silent. Grab a notebook and a pen because each and every one of you are going to definitely want to take notes on today's video. We are going to be talking about the art of elicitation and how elicitation can either make or break you as a social engineer. So the agenda for today's video going to be a longer video, which is of course means we're going to be having tons of value packed into today's video. But with that being said, here's today's agenda. We're going to start with actually going into the introduction of elicitation. Second, we're going to talk about what is elicitation. Third, we're going to talk about why is elicitation so damn powerful as a social engineer. Fourth, we're going to talk about the goals of elicitation. Fifth, we're going to talk about some elicitation-based strategies that you can use today when you get off today's video. Sixth, we're going to go into elicitation-based questions. 7, we're going to be talking about the magical preload prior to elicitation that has made me millions upon millions of dollars and will do the same for you if you master preloading mechanisms. And final, last but not least, we're talking about how you can master the art of elicitation. So let's start with part number 1, a simple little introduction to elicitation. Now, today's lesson is not going to be some low-level lesson on building rapport. This is not a lesson on how to open on a phone call. This is an extremely high-level lesson that can either make you or break you as a social engineer. Now, I want to start today's video and open with this simple question. Have any of you on today's call ever met someone and instantly felt like you could open up to that particular person? Like it was natural. Like you just met them for the first time, but it felt like you knew them for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. You liked the person. It felt like the person genuinely liked you. It felt like they had your best interest at heart. Maybe you even felt like the person was in tune with your thoughts, your worldviews, maybe even your desires. I mean, we've all came across someone that just naturally drew us in, right? Each and every one of us have. There's somebody in your life that you can remember, I'm sure, that you felt like it was just a gut instinct that you could just naturally open up to them, right? Now ask yourself why that was. Why was the person able to make you feel this way? Was it their smile? Was it their body language? Was it the eye contact, the facial expressions that they made, their voice, maybe their tonality towards you? Maybe it was their swagger, maybe it was their status. What was it that made you feel like you could naturally open up to them? Well, today's module is going to teach you how to be on the other side of that. After this module, you're going to be able to tap into this skill and be able to actually leverage it on will call. And once you master this, you're going to be able to get people to open up to you. You're going to get people to give you, very, very confidential information. You are going to become a master of people because everything that you want in life, another person's going to have. People make up companies, not brands. Actual people make up organizations. People make money. People have money. Everything that you want, another person's going to have. So let's start with, secondly, part number 2. And let's actually define what elicitation is. Now, this high-level skill that we just spoke about is called elicitation. And it's used by some of the most successful doctors, political candidates, lawyers, therapists, doctors, spies, social engineers, and it is definitely used by law enforcement agencies all around the world. So what is elicitation, you might be asking? Well, elicitation is the art of drawing or bringing forth emotions, opinions, perceptions, facts, beliefs, and of course, perceived truth, if you will. In other words, mastery of elicitation is going to allow you, the social engineer, to fashion your words and your questions in such a way that it naturally draws people out while getting them to open up, to take action, or actually, perform something that you want. Behave like you want them to behave, right? So as a social engineer, this is going to enable you to enhance your communication and social interactions to an entirely different level. This will allow you to set your prospects up to want to interact with you, to want to talk, to want to share confident information, and answer majority of your requests with little to no resistance, and even try to prove themselves of why they're worthy of your time. Prove themselves of why they're worthy of your expertise, of your business, of your services, of your products. Literally, it's going to be able to do all of that for you. Now, in the training material for the NSA, they define elicitation as the subtle extraction of information during an apparently normal and innocent conversation. Detectives, law enforcement, and central intelligence agencies deploy elicitation at the highest level, where majority of these strategies came from. They came from the FBI, they came from the NSA, and we're going to teach you how they teach all of their agents how to use elicitation, but we're going to apply it in business and, of course, get astonishing results. Now, the reason why attorneys tell their clients to stay quiet, and they always tell their clients to, hey, make sure that you tell them when they start questioning you, I'm not answering any questions unless my attorney is present. There's a reason for this. And the reason is because when you have a master elicitator, somebody who has mastered the art of elicitation from a high level, they can literally get in a mark's head by provoking emotions to get them to respond in a way that might not be in their best interest. I mean, we've seen it in TV, we've seen it in movies, when you've got this high-level interrogator interrogating a suspect in something, and all of a sudden they interrogate, they push, they press, they play mind games, and all of a sudden they elicify the response that they're looking for, that they are actually guilty of whatever it may be. Now, that's through logic, that's through emotions, that's through actual loaded questions, assumptive questions, closed, open, how to stack them, how to frame them. There's a lot that goes into it, but I'm going to show you exactly how they do that so you can deploy this in your professional life as well. So let's talk about part number 3, and let's actually talk about why elicitation is so damn powerful and why it works so well on humans. Now, elicitation works well for, of course, a variety of reasons. One of the main reasons is most people in today's society have the desire to be polite, especially to strangers. Second, majority of professionals all want to appear as well-informed and intelligent. There's probably none of you on today's call who want to be perceived as a novice, stupid, and not an expert in your particular field. Just doesn't happen. That's not what we want. Third, if you are praised by someone and your ego is stroked, you will often talk more and give more information about yourself. Sometimes even confidential information about how much you make, how much you pay in taxes, where you go, how much you spend, where you spend it, how much your car payment is. All these things that people don't talk about. Sometimes they will talk about it if you start to stroke their ego and, praise their success. Fourth, majority of people won't lie for the sake of lying. Not everybody is a narcissistic sociopath. Majority of us actually want to be good. We want to do good. We have great ambitions and aspirations for us and even the people around us. So as you go through this, majority of people, they're not going to lie. And a lot of people that grow up with families and have severe trauma, and the first 7 years of their life, they're around somebody who's very deceiving, manipulative, controlling, and lies a lot. They go into this beautiful world thinking that everybody's there to lie to them, that everybody's out to get them. They're a pessimist in everything that they do. And let's be real, majority of us are good people. Not everybody is bad people. Not everybody's out to get you. So just remember that majority of people in today's world, they're not going to lie just for the sake of lying. They were raised better than that. Fifth here is most people respond kindly to when people seem concerned about them or their emotions. So when you're super empathetic towards somebody, that can help you with elicitation because people like empathy. And when people feel that someone's there to hear them out, that really genuinely care about their ambitions, their aspirations, where they want to go, all of that, they seem to open up to those people very, very quickly. And these are the keys of why elicitation works so damn well on humans, right? I mean, let's be real. Getting someone to talk in today's world about their accomplishments, pretty damn easy to do. It doesn't require a degree to stroke somebody's ego and get them to open up to you about their success or their accomplishments. Now, let's talk about part number 4, the goals of elicitation. As a social engineer, we have intel and a plan in every single interaction that we participate in. And our goal is to always get our prospects to act. Whether that action is simply answering a question or signing a multi-million-dollar contract, our goal, our reason to be in that interaction is to get a result at the end of it. Now, as social engineers, you must master the art of questions. These questions will enable you to hold a social interaction while motivating the prospect to take action on something that you actually desire. And when it comes to elicitation, elicitation comes down to conversation. But it's not just basic conversation with no strategy, no goals, or no agenda. This is conversation that you are in control of. It's strategic, and the goal is to draw your prospect in while getting them to take action on something that you desire, something that's in your agenda, something that may be in their best interest, may be in the agenda that they don't even know that exists, but something that they actually need to do to get to where they want to go, right? Elicitation is all about your ability as a social engineer to engage people in conversation. To master conversations, you need to actually understand the steps of successful conversation, right? So the first piece to having successful conversation is being very, very natural. Nothing can kill a conversation quicker than someone coming into the conversation feeling very uncomfortable, very awkward, or unnatural. When you're interacting in a conversation, you've got to bring confidence. You've got to bring, charisma. You've got to have the ability to hold a conversation with strangers, and that is very, very important to mastering social engineering. Me, for example, I was raised in a way that my parents never told me, hey, don't talk to strangers. My parents told me, hey, everything that you want, somebody else has. Talk to everybody. So as I grew up through life, I was super, super social. And the more social I was, the more I communicated. And of course, the better and more that I communicated, the better I actually got at communication. To where now, for example, my significant other always tells me, my God, don't talk to anybody. Everywhere you go, you constantly meet people. You constantly are holding conversations with people. Everybody naturally comes to you and want to talk and want to be your friend. Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I start conversations with everyone. I'm generous to everyone. I can constantly talk and interact and build rapport with everyone. I'm always opening and asking, hey, how are you doing? Be great, enjoy your day. I'm always positive around people. And that positivity it's great because it allows people, they like positive. Majority of our lives aren't all positive. A lot of people in today's world are very negative. So when somebody comes at that interaction with them, it's completely different. Now, think about this for a second. Have a conversation with your significant other or your friend or your brother or your mom. Have a conversation with them on a topic that you know a lot about with, of course, somebody that you also know a lot about, and record the actual conversation. Set a camera off to the side and just record it. And then I want you guys to inject yourself into a conversation on a topic that you don't know shit about with a person that you've never met. Watch what happens. In conversation number 1, you'll have a different body posture. You'll have different micro expressions on your face. You'll have a different tone, different swagger, more confidence. It'll be a completely different interaction than conversation number 2. And conversation number 2, you'll be less confident. You'll be more introverted. You'll be more protected. Why? Because you don't know the person and the subject that you're speaking on, you don't know that well. So you automatically guard yourself, right? So step one, be natural, bring the confidence, always be funny, be enjoyable, be open, don't be so introverted. What's the worst that can happen? Just have fun, man. The second piece, gather intel and educate yourself. You must have knowledge on what you're going to be talking to a prospect about. Don't be the individual giving unqualified advice on a subject that they're not qualified to give advice on. You have to make sure that you understand what you're talking about. Make sure that you've thought about your communication models from the last video. What's your desired feedback? Who's the receiver? What's the message? What's the channel? And do not act like something you are not unless you have real alchemy in that particular subject. It will go bad. If you get into a conversation with somebody who's an expert of something and you're pretexting your way into that deal and you did not do your due diligence and you do not have enough knowledge and can come off as a subject matter expert to another expert, you are done. You will lose rapport, you will lose your elicitation power, and you will lose the frame because you didn't prepare. So, you want to make sure that you always gather your intel and educate yourself. Third piece, don't be greedy. Your goal is, of course, to get information and get answers through elicitation so you can, of course, get the keys to the kingdom, but you must master the art of keeping those cards close to your chest. If you convey that you're only there for yourself and you constantly talk about you, the prospect is going to, of course, lose interest. You must set up the conversation with the goal to give and take unless you're conversing with someone who is super dominant and they try to dominate the entire interaction from start to finish. If the prospect wants to dominate the entire conversation, you can ask the right questions that will enable you to get more information than you really even need as a social engineer. And some of the best social engineers that I've ever met, they often listen more than they talk. Now that took me a long time to adjust to because I just wanted to talk. And a lot of sales professionals, we bring the energy, we bring the Red Bulls, we bring the nootropics. We're all hyped up, we're ready to rock and roll, but we do all the talking. And of course our prospects lose interest, right? That's not the goal. You want to say less, get more. You want to anchor yourself and realize it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it and how what you say is perceived, right? So that's the third thing. Don't be greedy. Part number 5, let's talk about strategies of elicitation. Now, I've analyzed over the last decade hundreds of elicitation experts. I look up to a lot of people that are masters of elicitation. And the funny thing is, people that are masters of elicitation are, of course, masters of their career. They're masters of getting the things that they want in life, and they're always people that are super, super successful. And all the people that I've analyzed who are really, really good at the art of elicitation, they share these particular traits. One, they have a lack of fear to talk to people and be in situations that are not considered normal, right? Second, they have an actual care for social interactions and an ability to control the frame in those social interactions, and they understand the psychology that comes in to a particular social interaction. Third, they have the ability to help draw out people's current situation and provide them with a bridge that will enable them to reach their desired situation. Every interaction that they go to, that's how they go to it with these things in mind. They understand that people don't buy products or services. They buy current and desired situations, and they actually buy you as the source of that product, of that service, of that information. Fourth, they have the ability to listen and work a conversation like a deck of cards through elicitation, through influence and persuasion, through high-level mind tricks, intel gathering, and of course, social engineering, and ultimately human hacking. Now, me today, I still to this day put myself in social interactions to just play the game. Unfortunately, I've done deals that I probably shouldn't have done because I just like winning at this game. Deals with people who didn't deserve our services, deals with people who were in a position that I should have never done business with them because, quite frankly, they just didn't have the resources or the talent or the team or the maturity to actually succeed in their particular industry. But I got stuck in it, and I did the deal because I have a love for the game itself. I enjoy social engineering. I enjoy taking people from here to here. I enjoy changing belief systems, perceptions, and building realities. And some of those deals that I've done have been deals that I literally did not for the money. I did to just win the interaction and win the game. So you've got to go into this and constantly think about, hey, how can I be better at elicitation? And every interaction that you get to, whether it's in person, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in Zoom, this is training. You are training yourself. And remember, training is not something you've done, it's something you do. And if you do not use it, you will lose it. So you've got to continue to put effort into this trade and master this game. Now, let's talk about some actual elicitation strategies. First one, appealing to one's ego. Now, appealing to someone's ego is stroking someone's ego. It's a super powerful tool if you learn how to use it correctly. You can't overdo it because it's just unnatural. It becomes awkward and it will turn people off. But example, let's say you, the social engineer, you know you're on the phone with somebody and you're trying to stroke their ego without doing it in an awkward thing. Now, you don't want to be so impressed about what they've accomplished. If you're talking to somebody who owns a $100 million a year company and you stroke their ego too hard, you're going to come off as low status and coming from a subordinate position, right? And you're going to lose your frame control, your status, your expertise, all of that. And they're going to decompartmentalize you as somebody that, they shouldn't really listen to. So here's an example of how you can stroke an ego. It's honestly rare, John, that I come across individuals that have that whatever it takes mentality. And I'm glad that we both share this trait. But needless to say, I am impressed. It appears that you have built one hell of an organization here. And I think we could both agree that there's a massive opportunity for the both of us when it comes to scaling you guys online. Wouldn't you agree? And then the prospect would reply and say, hey, I appreciate the kind words, Dakota. We've been blessed and we've done extremely well. But I do agree with you. There is a huge opportunity here. It's just a matter of figuring it all out. Buying signal, buying signal, buying signal. So you see how I stroke the ego, but don't stroke it too hard? Hey, it's rare that I come across people like you complimenting their mindset. I'm glad we both share this trait, likability bias, similarity bias. We share that together. Next, I go into, it appears that you guys have built one hell of an organization here, compliment. However, I think we could both agree that there's a massive opportunity when it comes to scaling you guys online. BizOp, opportunity, current situation, desired situation. Wouldn't you agree? Assumptive question. Wouldn't you agree? I'm saying that they're already going to agree to the question. Wouldn't you agree? So that's how you can appeal to someone's ego without losing your frame control. Second, expressing mutual interest. Expressing mutual interest is important when it comes to elicitation. This scenario is even more powerful than appealing to someone's ego because it extends the relationship beyond the initial conversation, way beyond it. So in your intelligence gathering, when you're doing your intel gathering and you're looking and you're seeing that the person likes a football team or that the person loves watches or that the person loves suits or that the person loves cars, those are all things that you can bring in when you open on your phone calls, when you build rapport to express a mutual interest. So let's take an example of how you can do this. For example, me and Dimitri, when we first met, we were talking about somebody that we both look up to and like. And we were talking about Jordan Peterson. And we were on the call and basically I said, hey, you're a fan of Jordan Peterson. That's awesome. Have you read his new book, 12 Rules of Life? Man, it's so damn good. I've actually got 2 autographed copies of it if you'd like me to send you one. Boom. Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, I've got 15 of his books. They're all autographed. I use that. You know, when I see people at church a lot, when I see people doing different things, I can use that, and people are typically fans of that. Jordan Belfort, you know, I lived with Jordan, so I've got Way of the Wolf and the original Wolf of Wall Street. I've got tons of copies of it that are autographed. I can use those to, you know, express mutual interest. Oh, you're a fan of, you know, this, you're a fan of this. I can use that stuff. And then what will happen is the prospect will say, hey, dude, I love that. Thank you so much, Dakota. I'm also a fan. Hell yeah, I'd like an autographed book. So that's how you express an actual mutual interest in something. So as you can see, the target has now agreed to further contact with me by accepting the gift, and whether he knows it or not, he's going to want to reciprocate when he actually gets that gift. It's like when you wake up one day on Christmas morning, your neighbor walks over, knocks on the door and says, hey, Dakota, I got you this $25,000 watch. I just wanted to say you're a badass neighbor. I love having you across the street, and thanks for everything you've done, and then walks away. What do you automatically feel the need to do? You feel the need to reciprocate, to give back of something of equal or more value. You feel like you've got to win back. It's reciprocation, right? So the act of reciprocity, it's a bias by Charlie Munger, 25 Continental Biases, one of the most common things to, you know, human misjudgment tendencies. Now, let's talk about part number 3, deliberate false statement. This is another powerful tool that you can do. So making a deliberate false statement in a conversation. These statements are very powerful when you learn how to use them correctly as a social engineer. Most people correct wrong statements, and in some cases even feel challenged to prove they are correct. People desire to inform, they desire to appear knowledgeable, and they desire to be, you know, intolerable to misstatements. It's just human nature. This can elicit information from people that's based on facts. They feel great, look knowledgeable, and don't even know that you did it on purposely. So one of the things that I'll do is sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I heard you guys made $6 million last year. Well, I know they did more than that. I just don't know what that particular number is. So by saying that they made less revenue than they really did, they automatically come back and say, oh, hell no, we did 40 mil last year. Boom. Now I know their last year's revenue. Just like that, by making that deliberate statement. So here's an example that you can use as a social engineer. You know, everyone knows X, Y, and Z law firm has some of the best litigation attorneys in the U.S. And then the prospect, who seems to be an attorney in this interaction, comes back and says, actually, they don't. Our litigators have a higher win rate. We charge less per hour. We have a way bigger team. And we bring way more law specialties to the table that X, Y, and Z firm can't. They are just great at marketing and selling litigation, but they don't have the talent that we have here. So now what do we know? We know that they have a better team of litigators. They have a larger team of litigators. We know that there's probably some senior partners, some managing partners, some junior partners. We know they're a more established law firm and not just a small little mom and pop, you know, law firm. So that's deliberate false statements. 4th, volunteering information. As a social engineer, volunteering information in an interaction almost compels the prospect to reply with equally useful information. So here's an example. Did you hear about Rocket.io? I heard they are looking to give up 20% of their company for VC. They must be distressed and super illiquid. The prospect automatically responds and says, I knew something was going on with them, dude. I didn't know about the talks of them taking on VC, but I do have a few friends inside the company that told me Steven, the CEO, is going through some crazy-ass divorce and a custody battle with his wife, and she's asking for half of the business, man. When it rains, it pours, right? What did I just do? I volunteered information, and he came back with more insightful information that was equally useful to what I gave him. Before this interaction, I didn't know that the CEO was going through all this. I just thought that they had liquidity issues and they had cash problems. That's it. So look at what we did. We volunteered information, and the prospect gave us more information that we didn't even know prior to this conversation. So that's the key, and that's why volunteering information can be so damn powerful. Now let's talk about part number 5, elicitation through questions. Elicitation-based questions. As a social engineer, you must understand that your goal is to not say, how much liquid cash do you have and what's your net worth? You have to discover all this in a way that's a little bit more indirect, right? The goal is for you to ask elicitation-based questions that give you enough intel to get a clear picture without even asking them the direct question and probably turning them off so early into an actual relationship. So below are some proven elicitation-based questions that you can use in every single sales call, every single social interaction, and every single social engineer that you perform. 1, we have open-ended questions. 2, we have closed-ended questions. 3, we have leading questions. 4, we have assumptive questions. So let's start with part number 1, open-ended questions. Now, open-ended questions can't be answered with a yes or a no. If you're a social engineer and you're really willing to study people to master open-ended questions, check out top-rated news reporters. They are very, very good at this. They are often masters of asking open-ended questions to elicitate an actual response from a person that they're interviewing. If you look at some people who are incredible at interviews, they can get anybody into the room, they can work them like a deck of cards, and they can make the interview go extremely, extremely well, even if the person is super closed off. They can elicit their current situation, their desired situation. They can elicit where they actually want to go. They can get them in the motion. And that's how some of these guys do it. So example of an open-ended question. What do you think about the weather today? Elicits a real response with context, right? And then the person replies and says, damn, it's hot outside today, huh? Elicits a short answer with no response and no actual context. So here's an example of an open-ended question. Tell me about what you're learning in math class this semester compared to how was school today? Look at the difference of that one simple question. Now, we could have asked our kids, how was school today? And what do we get? I was good, thanks. Done. Or we can ask our kids, for example, tell us about what you're learning in math class this semester. What does that elicit? That elicits them to give us something with actual context. Tell us what you're learning in math class. Is it geometry? Is it algebra? What is it? Is it trigonometry? Tell us about that. What are you learning, son? It's a whole different ballgame, right? So that's the difference between opened and closed questions. Second, let's talk about closed questions. Closed-ended questions are the opposite of open-ended questions. These questions only allow for 1 or 2 types of responses. These are great questions to use in leading a prospect to your actual goal when you're stacking all of these different questions in your elicitation. So here's an example. Attorney. This is the attorney. This is the person. So pretend we're an attorney here. Do you know the defendant, Mr. Burford? The person says, yes, I do. Okay, on the night of June 14th, did you see Dakota Burford at the mall? Yes, I did. What time was that? 11:45. Now, what are all these questions? They're closed. Yes or no. That's all that we're doing. So it's typically easy to start an interaction with closed-ended because they're easier to answer. And then once we get moving, then we open up to more open, etc. Third types of questions, leading questions. Now, leading questions are questions that prompt or encourage a desired answer. These questions lead your prospect where you want them to go while allowing them to express their view, but in a narrow format. It's a loaded question that kind of leads them to the response that you actually desire. So here's some leading question examples. Were you at the Galleria Mall on January 1st at around 11 p.m.? Weren't you? I led them into that question. You didn't see the stop sign, did you? Led them into that question. You know you were doing 20 miles over the speed limit, right? Led them into that question. Mr. Johnson, did you own this revolver? You did, right? Led them into that question. John, we're on today's call because you want to grow your business, right? Of course John wants to grow his business. I led him into that question. So those are leading questions that lead them into the response that you actually want to get. Very powerful. Fourth, assumptive questions. Now, these questions are assuming that your prospect has certain knowledge. The way a social engineer can really see if someone is, knowledgeable about a subject or about something is to really see if the prospect possesses the actual knowledge to gauge what their expertise is in that particular subject. We can do this through assumptive questions. So for example, here's an example. Where does Mr. Smith live? Well, if you know where Mr. Smith lives, then you pretty much know a good amount about that person, right? So another question, how much is it currently costing you to acquire a customer, John? If they don't know, then you know they don't have clear KPIs. They probably don't have a way to generate customers on demand, and they are either not running paid traffic or don't even know how to run it. So if I'm a marketing agency and I'm asking that question, I'm trying to gauge them, because some of the most successful people that I have ever worked with, like John Assaraf, for example, that guy is an animal. He is the CEO, but at heart, he is in internet marketing. You ask him what his KPIs are on a webinar, he knows every number down to the T. So I know right off the bat, this dude has been successful and makes $10 million a year. Why? Because he is a master of internet marketing. He knows his numbers better than anybody else. You have to know your numbers. So by me asking these questions, I can basically rate whether they're an expert marketer or not. I know where they're coming in at. If they don't know their KPIs, I can damn near guarantee that they aren't making a lot of money. They're not making real money. They're not growing big companies. They're not doing all that because that's what's required to do all of those things. Another question, what motivates you? What I'm really asking here is, do I have the necessary resources to motivate you when we see eye to eye? Would you fit in with our company culture? Would I enjoy working with you? What motivates you, John? If John is not motivated by money, how can I help John make more money if he's not motivated by money? Maybe he's motivated by a cause. Maybe he needs some type of emotional attachment. Maybe he doesn't even want the money. Maybe he wants the money to build a charity for something that means a lot to them. So I have to ask him, hey, John, what motivates you, man? What makes you click? What makes you want to succeed? What are you doing all this for? I get it may be money, but what is the money for? And then they'll talk about, I want to travel more. I want more time with my kids. I want my kids to go to boarding school. I want them to go to the best of the best colleges. I want to be able to invest in my kids to make them super successful. Well, money is what gets them there. So instead of selling them just money, we got to sell them the emotional tie, because people buy a lot off emotions. Of course, it's a logic and an emotional mix, but emotions are very important. So there's some assumptive questions for you. One, where does Mr. Smith live? Does Mr. Smith drive a blue Ford? How much is it currently costing you to get a customer? What actually motivates you, John? Those are assumptive questions. So let's go through these one more time. Open-ended questions. Open-ended. They're open-ended. So here's some examples. What do you think about the weather today? Tell me about what you're learning in math class. Closed questions. Do you know the defendant, Mr. Burford? Do you know how hot it is outside? Do you know the humidity level outside? Where do you go to school? What color is your car? Do you drive a green truck? Do you want to go to dinner? Closed, closed, closed. Third, we have leading questions. Leading questions lead someone to the desired response. Were you at Galleria Mall on January 1st at 11 p.m.? Weren't you? You didn't see that stop sign, did you? Did you know you were doing 20 miles over? Right? Mr. Johnson owned this revolver, correct? You are motivated by money, right? You do want to grow your business, right? You do want to make more money, have more success, and take better care of your family, right? You're doing this for your family, right? You're doing this to be better, make more, help the people around you. Don't be so selfish. It's not just about you. It's about all the people that you employ, right? You're doing this for them, right? That's leading questions. Assumptive questions. Where does Mr. Smith live? How much is it costing you to acquire a customer? What motivates you? So again, master these, because if you can master and load and actually know how to stack them, you're going to become powerful. Open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, leading questions, assumptive questions. And you can check out some of this stuff in this assumptive questions section. The FBI talks about assumptive questions all day long. So let me see if I can pull this up for you. And there is a reason why this stuff is so powerful and on the actual FBI's website. Hopefully they can cut it off because we can't get to it. No. Open file. Here we go. Interrogation, a review of the science. High valued interrogation by the FBI. You can check out this document. So, forward, list of figures and tables, summary, chapter 1, assessing cooperation to counter resistance, influencing strategies, interviewing methods, detective truth and deceptions. This is directly from the FBI's website. So you definitely can check out some of this stuff, but this is going to teach you how they do this, how they use interrogation, how they stack different questions, how they make all this work to get what? The desired response. Influencing strategies. Here you go. Reciprocity. There it is again, right there. We're going to learn more about that in the next video, high-level mind tricks, but here we go. Now we're talking about influence and persuasion strategies, incentives, all this great stuff. Check out this document. This is directly from the FBI's website. Here's the link. You pull that bad boy up, fbi.gov. Check it out. Definitely want to see that. So that's the power of these questions. FBI uses them. They're training all their agents on them. If you want to become a master elicitator, you must master questions. If you are asking questions, and questions are every day a part of our lives, it's so crazy that majority of people don't even understand the difference between the questions. If you want to ask better questions and get better information, you must understand how to ask them and the foundation that makes these questions powerful. If you're asking closed-ended questions when you should be asking open-ended questions, no wonder your communication sucks so bad. No wonder you can't get the actual responses that you want, and no wonder your damn life is so hard because you don't know the difference. This is the stuff that they should have taught us in school. Now let's talk about the magic preload prior to elicitation. This particular subject has made me millions upon millions of dollars, and I know for a fact that it can do the same for each and every one of you. Now, preloading is influencing a subject or a prospect before the actual interaction of the social engineer. So this is an extremely powerful tool, and it will make social engineering extremely easy for you to where it's like you roll into interactions and all the hard work's done for you. You just collect money. That's what you're there to do. So think of preloading like this. You drive to the movies with your significant other. You stand in a massive line to pay $30 for 2 movie tickets. As you're in line, you're bombarded with posters for upcoming movies. You get inside, you stand in line again, you buy $50 worth of popcorn, candy, and drinks. After you get your snacks, you push your way through the theater, and you get the seat that you want. Finally, the movie starts, but does it really? Now you're presented with a series of movie trailers. Some of these movies aren't even in production yet. And at the end of it, it says it's rated the funniest movie in America. Whatever the movie is about, these trailers are designed to social engineer you on how to feel about the movie and, basically show that they've done an excellent job on the movie, and it does an excellent job of just that. You look over at your partner, you're sitting in the movie hasn't even started yet, and you say, damn, we got to see that when it comes out. That's a good one. That's a good one. I definitely want to see that. I definitely want to see that. You're already sold. You've already made a micro commitment to your significant other that is something that you perceive as a good time, that you perceive as a good picture, and you're already talking about the movie coming out 6 months later, and you're sold on it. You can't wait to see that movie. 15 minutes later, after you've sat through all these commercials, finally the damn movie starts. Now watch what happened, guys. A trailer on TV caught your attention. It put that movie directly in front of you to influence you on checking out the movie at a theater. The second piece, you turn to Google and you type in, what time does X, Y, and movie start near me? Third, you pick a time, you get in the car, and you drive all the way to the theater. Fourth, you stand in line, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whatever the circumstances is, you're standing in line, and you are bombarded with all these upcoming movies, and finally when you get to the window and pay $40 to rent a little chair for damn near 2 hours to watch a movie, which is of course the lead maggot, then you get inside, and now it's time to increase your LTV with some order bumps and upsells. The goal here is to increase the value of the customer and make some excellent profit margins on things that are super diluted, super overpriced, and super profitable, which is why they're offering you overpriced drinks, candy that they make 200-300% on, and food. And at this point, your damn value has nearly doubled. Sixth, at this point, you've gotten through the lead magnet, which is the actual ticket for the movie itself. You've gotten through the upsells and the order bumps, and now you're sitting in the chair. But don't get too excited, not just yet, because now we got to preload you with more trailers and advertisements, just like the one that sold you, that got you to buy the ticket, that got you to buy all the upsells and the order bumps, and that has you sitting in this particular theater right now. Now, some of the trailers that you see during this time, you'll look over at your significant other, your friend, your partner, whoever that you're at the movies with, and you'll say, man, that wasn't for me. That don't look very good. And others, you'll lean over and say, wow, we got to come back and see that. Seventh, before the movie even starts, you're already preloaded and sold and made micro commitments, and in some cases, even macro commitments to your significant other, based off coming back to the same place that you're at right now to watch another movie in the future. You're already sold and the damn movie ain't even in production yet. And then 8, the movie starts. You may enjoy the movie, you may not enjoy the movie, doesn't matter, but either or, you'll leave satisfied. Or you may leave dissatisfied. But it honestly doesn't matter because you've been pre-sold for another one already, and this process repeats itself over and over and over to millions of people worldwide, and it is why this industry is so damn big. That is the power of preloading and social engineering your way to the top. And when I say top, I mean $136 billion top, which is what the global film industry is worth. The entire film is based off social engineering, preloading, getting people in. Nobody knows that they're being hacked every single day. They look at it as, we're just going to the movies. Now, I love movies. Movies are my thing. But I like looking for this stuff. I like counting. I like trying to put together the average order value in the concessions. I like seeing how many seats are reserved in a movie, taking that, averaging it out per seat, and looking to what they're making per hour in a single sitting. I enjoy that. Like Fast and the Furious 7, when that thing came out a while back ago, I had a buddy that was a manager. Like, them things were making $150,000 in 2 hours, renting a damn movie theater seat because the damn theaters were so big they were packed. There was people sitting on the floor in that theater. It was just absolutely nuts. Now, preloading is one of the most important components that has allowed me to succeed. As a sales professional, I got sick of the one-on-one. I got sick of doing it one time. The sales cycles were too long. It was a low, subordinate position. And when I was with Jordan Belfort, that's when we were really seeing, cold calling. It's not dead, but it's quite frankly not efficient. With, the advertising mediums that we have today, it's very simple to build a presentation by leveraging social engineering in that presentation, preloading a subject to where they schedule the calls themselves. I've got sales reps with 8 to 10 back-to-back appointments who sit through a 2.5 hour long presentation to schedule a call with us for an actual consultation who are already sold on us. It makes their jobs way easier. Instead of closing at 5%, they're closing at 40%. I want the 40%. I want the most optimized and efficient way to make me, my team, and everybody else that we serve successful. And that's a better customer experience for our customers, right? Now, I've used preloading to generate tens of millions of dollars for myself, for my clients, and everything in between. And that process that I just explained to you is called an evergreen webinar. And it's what a lot of actual people know me for. I'm not exactly sure if I'm the best in the world at building these preloading webinars, but a lot of extremely successful people say I am. I've built companies that, do a couple of $100,000 a month off a single webinar and some Facebook ads. And, preloading webinars has really what's allowed me to succeed. And, I understand it from a social engineering perspective, which is why it's been so powerful. And I do it every single day. I mean, we do it for entrepreneurs, we do it for companies, we do it for influencers, and I'm paid extremely well to do it. But, one of the examples of somebody that I worked with that was, super crazy when we put it all together, this guy was doing $100K a month and he had a very small sales team, but they weren't optimized. And, 12 months after we built this webinar and we got the traffic set up right and everything else, the dude was doing $3 million a month. Why? Because we could take the sales process and preload it just like the movie theaters did. We could get them so sold on our biz offer, on our done-for-you services, that by the time they showed up for the call, they were preloaded. They were already sold on the service. They just needed somebody to take the money, somebody to put the deal together, right? It was simple as that. And that's why you've seen people like Sam Ovens, $36 million a year, selling a $1,900 course that was through a webinar. ClickFunnels, they were built on a preloading mechanism, a webinar. They do $100 million a year. That's what made ClickFunnels successful. Russell Brunson will tell you it himself. He built it off of a damn webinar. That's a preloading mechanism. John Assaraf, $10 million a year, webinar. Look at all the people who are leveraging webinars every single day. There's a reason why they do it. It's preloading. Now, if you want to actually see a preloading masterpiece, go check out my personal webinar over at www.luxvoni.com and watch the webinar in full. Don't dabble in it. Don't mess around with it. Focus on it and watch what happens to your belief systems. Watch what happens to your doubts. Watch what happens to your views. And watch, by the end of the presentation, how you feel. How I've social engineered you through a 2-hour-long process and changed your perception and beliefs with no questions asked. Now, at the end of this webinar, watch how I covertly social engineer the audience without them even realizing it. This webinar is extremely powerful, and I have people go through this, business owners, C-suites, real companies that make tens of millions of dollars a year. They go through this and they chase the hell out of us and beg us to service them. And they're willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars to actually buy our services. And, I've had one person, Beverly Hill Publishing, for example, she went through the webinar. I never even seen her face-to-face like this call. We didn't even get on a Google Hangout call. She just called me. And she opened with this one statement. Dakota, if you can make my customers feel the way that you made me feel on your particular webinar, I'll pay you whatever to get it built. 100 grand, 65, you tell me the price, I'll send you the money right now. And that's literally how the conversation went. She was so sold on the experience that I put her through and how I changed her. She knew that I could do it for her customers, and she wanted to partner with me on that. So that's the deal. Now, through this deal, I just want to give you a disclaimer here. If you don't own a big business, if you're not rocking and rolling, if you don't have like real money to invest, there's an offer at the end of that webinar, and it's an offer for a consultation with one of my sales guys. And if you go through it and you're super impressed, you want to leverage preloading in your marketing, I do want to be clear. If you don't have like a minimum $6,000 to invest in yourself and your business, do not schedule the damn call. My guys don't want to just talk. They're there to do deals. So please don't take advantage of the offer. If you go through it and you say, hey, God almighty, I want these guys to build something like this for me. I need to get in. You're welcome to take advantage of the offer that's in that webinar if you want, and the like 12K in bonuses that I offer as well. But please understand, if you're not qualified, if you don't have actual cash to invest in your business, just wait for another time, because you don't want to lose advantage of it. It's a one-time offer. So if you schedule and you don't have the resources and you can't pull them together, there is not going to be another chance. We've already labeled you as not a fit. So that's just how we conduct business, because we want to work with people that are action takers, that are established, and who are action oriented. We don't chase business. Business chases us. So just make sure you're qualified if you take advantage of that. Now, let's finally talk about part number 7, mastering the art of elicitation. This module has a lot of information for you guys to absorb, and I would recommend going through this video a couple times, definitely more than once. And it's really one of the most important videos that you can watch, because elicitation is going to be a big part of your success as a social engineer. You combine this with intel gathering, elicitation, high-level mind tricks, and influence and persuasion. You are going to have the fundamentals to really, really, really social engineer and human hack your way to the top. Implementing all the strategies that I share with you today may seem a bit daunting at first, but trust me, with some actual practice and some actual repetition, because training is not something you've done, it's something you do, it will get much, much easier. I want you all to remember that Rome was not built in a day, and your social engineering skills, they're not going to be built in one day either. If this art was super easy, if social engineering and being a human hacker was so simple, everybody would do it. That's just common, but unfortunately it's not. Majority of people give up. So be patient, and remember, the more you practice, the quicker you'll master this. In the elicitation cheat sheet directly below this video, there's some homework in there for you, some exercises to where you can really put this into work and get some actual reps in with that. I've also included some additional studies below this video and exercises and techniques that are going to help you master the art of elicitation. We're talking about from the FBI, the NSA, master elicitation experts that I have followed, that I have been mentored and coached by for years and years and years. And if you guys can master the art of elicitation, and you can stick with this, you can practice, you can put the reps in, and you can train, I can almost damn near guarantee you that you will be successful as a social engineer. This one piece, if you take nothing else from this entire program and you just mastered this one thing, you'd make probably 60% more money than you do right now. You'd have 60% more revenue than you currently have in your business. Your life would be 60% better, because you can communicate, ask the right questions, get through life with zero to little resistance. Everything's going to improve by 60%. So let's have a quick little recap of what we covered today. First, we started about the introduction to elicitation. Second, what is elicitation? Third, we talked about why elicitation is so powerful. Fourth, we talked about the goals of elicitation. Fifth, we talked about elicitation-based questions, open, closed, assumptive, leading. Sixth, we talked about the magic preload and how I've leveraged preloading mechanisms to make millions upon millions of dollars, and how you can use them too. And then last but not least, we talked about how you can master the art of elicitation through reps, through training, through going through this video more than once, and most importantly, completing all the damn homework below today's video. So to start, I want you guys to download the elicitation cheat sheet directly below this video. Second, I want you to complete all the items in that particular worksheet. Third, I want you to throw up a comment in the private Facebook group of exactly what you thought of today's video when it talks about the art of elicitation, so you guys can mark the video complete. And I want each and every one of you to be great, because nothing else pays. And that concludes module number 4, video number 4, in the first week of the Sell Ops program. Be great, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have an incredible day, and I will talk to each and every one of you soon. Take care, guys.